Welcome to U.S. Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: UAW workers reject Mack Trucks contract, will strike. 3 things home buyers can ask for now. Wong, Albanese urge restraint on civilian targets as conflict escalates. U.S. announces military aid for Israel as Hamas attack delivers blow to Biden push for Saudi-Israel normalization. Mahomes, Kelsey lead Chiefs past Vikings, who lose Jefferson to late hamstring injury. UAW workers reject Mack Trucks contract, will strike. Reuters. Union workers at Mack Trucks, a subsidiary of Volvo Group, have rejected a proposed 5-year contract deal and will go on strike starting Monday. About 73% of workers voted against the deal, which included a 19% pay increase and improved retirement benefits, among other provisions. The company expressed disappointment at the decision and said it was committed to the collective bargaining process. The rejection at Mack comes as the United Auto Workers, UAW, have been on a targeted strike against facilities of the Detroit 3 automakers since September 15. 3 things home buyers can ask for now. Wall Street Journal. Home buyers in the U.S. are facing high mortgage rates and a shortage of available properties, but they may have more power to negotiate than they realize. Lenders are keen to attract business and may be willing to reduce fees, while sellers are more open to requests to help buyers with closing costs and monthly payments. Buyers can ask for a credit towards closing costs, request a lower mortgage interest rate, or ask sellers to make repairs. However, experts warn that buyers should approach negotiations politely and be aware that a permanent rate buy-down may lose its value if rates fall in the future. Wong, Albanese urge restraint on civilian targets as conflict escalates. The Sydney Morning Herald. Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, and Foreign Minister, Penny Wong, have called for restraint in targeting civilian lives as the death toll from the Israel and Hamas war mounts. They have also continued to assert Israel's right to respond to the deadly attack. Wong condemned the assault on Israel by Hamas and called for restraint as the conflict escalates. Albanese stated that Israel has the right to defend itself but agreed that there should always be restraint when it comes to the targeting of civilians. U.S. announces military aid for Israel as Hamas attack delivers blow to Biden push for Saudi-Israel normalization. The Globe and Mail. U.S. President Joe Biden has pledged military aid to Israel amid the escalating conflict between Israel and Hamas. Biden spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday and said additional assistance is on its way to Israel. The U.S. is also sending warships to the eastern Mediterranean and is ready to send fighter jets if necessary. The aid will include munitions and equipment, although no further details have been provided. The move comes as the situation threatens to derail Biden's efforts to secure a normalization deal between Israel and Saudi Arabia. The conflict has already killed hundreds of people, with Israel carrying out air strikes on Gaza and potentially preparing for a ground invasion. Mahomes, Kelsey lead Chiefs past Vikings, who lose Jefferson to late hamstring injury. The Toronto Star. Patrick Mahomes led the Kansas City Chiefs to a 27-20 victory over the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. Mahomes threw 2 touchdown passes in the third quarter, including one to Travis Kelce after Kelce briefly left the game with an ankle injury. Mahomes finished the game with 281 passing yards and no turnovers. The Chiefs, who are the defending Super Bowl champions, have a 4-1 record this season. The Jaguars defeated the Bills 25-20 in London. Travis Etienne rushed for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to secure the victory for the Jaguars. The Bills, who had a 3-game winning streak coming into the game, rushed for only 29 yards and suffered a number of injuries. The Steelers rallied past the Ravens to win 17-10. Kenny Pickett threw a 41-yard touchdown pass to George Pickens with 1:17 remaining in the game to give the Steelers the lead. The Ravens had a chance to tie the game, but Lamar Jackson threw an interception in the end zone and later fumbled the ball, leading to a Steelers touchdown. California governor vetoes bill to make free condoms available for high school students, citing cost. The Toronto Star. California Governor Gavin Newsom has vetoed a bill that would have made free condoms available to all public high school students. Newsom argued that the bill would create an unfunded mandate for public schools and would add to the state's budget deficit. The bill would have required schools to provide free condoms to students in grades 9 to 12 and allowed condoms to be made available in grades 7 to 12. It would have also made it illegal for retailers to refuse to sell condoms to youth. Newsom said that while programs increasing access to condoms are important, the state cannot afford the costs associated with this bill. Jackie Young steps to the forefront as Aces grab Game 1 of WNBA Finals. Washington Post. The Las Vegas Aces beat the New York Liberty 99-82 in Game 1 of the WNBA Finals, thanks to a 26-point haul from Jackie Young. The Aces led by just 7 points heading into the final quarter, but Young's 3-point play sparked a run of 23-6 to put the game beyond doubt. The Aces guard, Kelsey Plum, also scored 26 points, while Aya Wilson and Chelsea Gray scored 19 and 20 points, respectively. Singapore dollar's heydays seen numbered as exports lose steam. Bloomberg. The Singapore dollar may face challenges in the coming months as the country's economy weakens and investors seek safety in the US dollar. Analysts predict that the Singapore dollar will underperform its Asian counterparts, citing the poor external backdrop and the country's reliance on trade. Singapore's non-oil exports have declined for 11 consecutive months, indicating a deteriorating global demand. The Monetary Authority of Singapore's exchange rate policy stance has supported the currency this year, but focus is now turning to the policy announcement due on October 13. Analysts believe there is a 40% chance that the central bank may reduce the slope of the exchange rate policy band. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the 6 dimensions, bringing you the latest news from around the world. Let's dive into the headlines. First up, we have the UAW workers at Mack Trucks going on strike after rejecting a proposed contract deal. It seems like these workers are revving their engines and demanding better terms. Hopefully, they can steer their negotiations in the right direction and find a resolution soon. In the U.S. housing market, home buyers may have more power to negotiate than they realize. With high mortgage rates and a shortage of available properties, buyers can ask for things like reduced fees, help with closing costs, and even repairs. It's time for buyers to put their negotiation skills to work and find themselves a sweet deal. Moving on to the conflict between Israel and Hamas, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Foreign Minister Penny Wong are calling for restraint in targeting civilian lives. It's a tough situation, but it's important to remember that civilians should always be off limits. Let's hope that cooler heads prevail and the conflict can be resolved without further loss of innocent lives. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden has pledged military aid to Israel as the conflict escalates. Biden is sending additional assistance, including munitions and equipment, to support Israel. But this conflict is also throwing a wrench in Biden's plans for Saudi-Israel normalization. It seems like the road to peace in the Middle East is as bumpy as a desert dune. In the world of sports, Patrick Mahomes led the Kansas City Chiefs to victory over the Minnesota Vikings. Mahomes showed off his arm strength and accuracy, tossing 2 touchdown passes in the third quarter. It's safe to say that the Vikings couldn't handle the heat from Mahomes' blazing throws. In a surprising turn of events across the pond, the Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the Buffalo Bills in London. Travis Etienne rushed for 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to secure the victory. The Bills, who had a winning streak going, couldn't quite find their footing on English soil. Maybe they needed a spot of tea to get their game back on track. And in California, Governor Gavin Newsom has vetoed a bill that would have made free condoms available to high school students. Newsom cited cost concerns, saying the state couldn't afford the associated expenses. It seems like he's putting a cap on this proposal, but let's hope that access to sexual education and contraceptives remains a priority. On a different court, the Las Vegas Aces took Game 1 of the WNBA Finals with a standout performance from Jackie Young. Young's 26-point haul helped secure the victory for the Aces, who are now in pole position to take home the championship. Looks like they're shooting for the stars and making their mark on the court. Lastly, the Singapore dollar may face some challenges in the coming months as the country's economy weakens. With declining non-oil exports and a poor external backdrop, the Singapore dollar might not be driving as smoothly as before. Investors are starting to look for safety in the US dollar, and it seems like the Singapore dollar may need a tune-up to stay competitive. That's all for today's news roundup. Remember, these are just my observations from the 6 dimensions. I'd love to hear what you think about these stories. Do you have any thoughts or questions? Let's spark a discussion together. The floor is yours, my fellow Sixers. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6 do brief via email.